Hey everyone, Justin here. If some of my recent stop motion projects haven't made it apparent, I'm a pretty big fan of Lego, and one of my all-time favorite themes from theirs is Bionicle. I got into the theme at around 2007, 2008 between the Baraki and Toa Mari and the Toa Fantoka waves. Since then, I've been building a lot of my own Bionicle figures using the parts I have, but that wasn't really good enough for me. I wanted to do something more for a lot of my figures, bring a lot more uniqueness to their appearances. So, I decided to do something a lot of Bionicle builders have been doing lately. A little while back, I got a 3D printer, specifically the Ender 3 from Creality. It was in a used condition, but worked perfectly right off the bat. I used the printer for a couple of projects, two of which were Bionicle masks. While the quality wasn't anything to write home about, they were still very suitable for the time. They gave my figures a very distinct look that I was really happy with. Recently though, I had the chance to upgrade my 3D printing, specifically to this. This is a Photon Mono 4 Ultra made by Anycubic. It's a gift I got for Christmas, and frankly it's the best present for a hobbyist like me. But before I show you how it works, we actually need something to print. For my first project, I decided to go with this great mask of Sensory Aptitude by King K. It's one of the first masks I printed off using the Ender 3, and one of my favorite Bionicle mask designs of all time. Now, before I continue, I should note that the Anycubic uses resin to make its prints instead of filament like the Ender 3. And since resin is a little toxic, you're going to need to take some precautions. Mask, gloves, and make sure to work in a well-ventilated area like I am. Oh, and don't forget the artsy socks. Now, using the Anycubic is pretty easy. All you need to do is just pour in the resin and start the program. Masks tend to not use a whole lot of resin, but you still need to pour a good bit so that the printer has enough just in case. Unlike a lot of the prints I made with the Ender 3, the Anycubic is actually pretty quick in printing out objects. Honestly, the first few layers are the slowest, only because they have to be. They need to be secured to the build plate so that the rest of the print doesn't snap off during printing. All in all, my first project didn't really take too long, only an hour and a half as you can see. And I didn't have to check on the print often, I could just let it run for that entire time until it was all done. And speaking of which, when it was finally done, all I had to do was just lift off the cover of the printer and undo the build plate. Making a mess while trying to look at the print is optional, by the way. Compared to filament prints, resin prints require a bit more attention after they're done before you're ready to handle them. First off, you need to wash off all the excess resin from them. Usually these resin prints require isopropyl alcohol, but in my case I was using water washable resin, so all I needed to do was just fill the cleaning vat with distilled water. And because I had a washing station, all I had to do was just put it on that station, set a time, and let the automatic fan do all the cleaning for me. After that, I just had to cure it for a few minutes to make sure the resin was fully hardened. And yes, that is the washing station. It also doubles as a curing station. Pretty amazing, huh? And finally, after all that hard work, my great mask of Sensory Aptitude is finished. Let's see how it came out. Oh. Okay. Yeah, if you haven't noticed by now, the bottom is a little bit squished. The rest of the mask, though, came out surprisingly good. I was pretty impressed with the quality. I mean, just look at how smooth it is. I also broke off the peg to the mask because that was barely attached. Fantastic. Moving to the splicing program that actually prepares the model for printing, I can see what went wrong right away. I used too few supports, especially along the bottom of the mask, which must have caused it to snap off from those supports during printing. To remedy this, I just added more supports, mainly along the bottom section of the mask so it wouldn't snap off again. I also decided to tilt the mask back so I was facing head up instead of at a slight angle. I figured that would help the flat sections of the front of the mask print out easier without the chance of the front hanging bit snapping off again. Which means we go right back to the 3D printer. Not much to really say on this, it was the same process as before. Fill up the vat with a little bit of resin, load the file onto the printer, and let it run for a couple of hours. And when that's all said and done, we have this. Looking a lot better than the first time, huh? It's still gotta dry a little, but that shouldn't take too long. I left it overnight just to be sure. And once it's dry, we just gotta wedge it off the build plate. Very, very carefully. Then all we gotta do is just grab that print, yank those supports out, and it's off to the curing station. And here's the completed mask. Technically my second project, but my first successful one. I'm really happy with the quality of it. It honestly just came out amazing and looks like an official Bionicle mask. There's not much else to say about it. It just came out great. As a neat little comparison, here it is compared to the version I made with the Ender 3. I probably could have adjusted the settings on the Ender 3 to make the details a lot more finer, but that would have doubled the printing time. For reference, these two masks took roughly the same amount of time to print out. And then as a fun little final comparison, here it is next to the first attempt. Night and day difference, huh? Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get this mask painted up so it matches the Matoran that I'm giving it to, and then get onto the glamour shots.